Good morning. How are you? Good. Morning, Code. This is just going to be you, sir? Yeah, for right now. Oh, look, this is over there. The washroom. Don't worry. It's an easy day. All right, good morning, guys. So we are going to get our party started. Let me hit record, or I'm recording now. So, all right, so we have the chicken piccata, gnocchi, potato gnocchi, and we have the brown butter and sage, and then we need to start our panna cotta and our focaccia. Okay, so the chicken piccata is going to take like no time. Okay, really no time whatsoever, but I gave away all our chicken breast, so I'm waiting for the storeroom to open up so I can get my chicken breast. But no matter what, that's going to be like a la minute right at the moment. All I have to do is, dredge it. So I'm going to kind of get everything staged up and then work on. I need to work on my potato gnocchi first. My suggestion, and I've already kind of started it when I got in around 5 o'clock this morning. I washed the potato, washed it, oiled it, and I put it on a sheet pan and I'm baking it. Okay, I'm baking the potato. Potato's not done yet, but I'm baking it, and that's what I'm going to use for my potato gnocchi. Okay, so I've got that in a 350, 375 oven until it's baked. So I don't know, however long it takes to bake your potato. It needs to be completely done. So I'm going to kind of start gathering up the stuff for the potato gnocchi. So let's go with potato gnocchi. You have potatoes, whole, it says whole egg. And then you've got flour and salt. So I'm going to gather up, get my egg, get my salt, kind of get everything together. And then we will start putting that. So I'm going to kind of gather up my meat box. Then I'm probably going to make the panna cotta. So that is bread, flour, egg, and potato. I'm just kind of gathering my mise en place together for everything because I'm waiting on my potatoes, so I'm kind of gathering up everything. So I've got that. I need to get my eggs. All right, I got my egg, my flour, and I need my salt. So I'm getting staged up right here, just kind of gathering up all my mise en place while I'm just kind of waiting for my potato. Okay, for my brown butter sage. Let's see what I need for my brown butter sage. I need got sage, garlic. Yeah, just mise en place. Just getting all the mise en place together so I don't have to run around and try to find it. Garlic, salt, and pepper and butter. How much butter? About 4 ounces. Butter. So I've got my brown butter sage stuff kind of staged up, ready to go. I've got my gnocchi. I need to grind up some black pepper, so I'll do that in a few minutes. So I got sage, butter. I need the black pepper, and I need to get my salt. So I got that. For my actually, I'm going to go back to my chicken piccata. I've got my chicken right here. Let's see, I need all-purpose flour. I will get in right now. All-purpose flour. And again, and I'll turn my camera so everybody can kind of see. I'm sorry. Sick with the camera. So just kind of staging up, getting all my stuff together on their sheet pans. Just kind of gathering all my mise en place together. That's it. Let's see, I need lemon. Capers, right? Capers over there. I'm gonna cut my lemon. So again, just staging myself up. Good morning. Capers. Lemon juice, olive oil, butter. Butter for you. Butter right here. So I've got my butter, my flour, canola or olive oil. And let's see, I think other than salt and pepper, and I'm gonna have to grind up some pepper in it a little bit. Again, I'm just staging myself up. I'm getting all my mise en place together because I'm waiting to cook my potatoes in the oven, cooking. So where I'm just kind of waiting on that. So I'm just kind of gathering up all my stuff for all of my prep. So where I don't have to search around for it. And this is kind of a quick saute, so everything is going to take almost no time at all. So I've got, hey, could you do me can you give me a thing of these? I think I got all of that. So I've got my gnocchi prepped out. I've got my piccata prepped out. I've got my brown butter prepped out. Now I'm going to go ahead or just kind of mise en place. I need to chop up everything, but that take like no time at all. So, and I don't know if you can see, but so everything is just kind of separated, sitting on a sheet pan. So where whenever I'm ready, I can just bang out all my prep. Pretty easy peasy. Let's see here. Let's go ahead, get this stuff going. Cup measure.
We're out of them. I'm gonna get one from the.
Thanks for looking. Here, you got it?
Yeah.
What do we need? Half a cup of milk. Or sheet pan or something. Put my hand. Yeah, I'm just waiting to cook my potatoes. Potatoes in the oven cooking. I'm kind of getting things together for everything. All right, we need a half a cup of milk. Some milk, 6 grams of gelatin. Six grams of gelatin I just laid out. I need a half a cup of cream. Oh, God, thank you so much. I so appreciate it. I'll get a half cup of cream.
Good morning, Chef.
Good morning. So I'm just prepping out everything right now. I've got my potato in the oven baking for my potato gnocchi. So I'm just kind of getting all my mise en place together for everything else. So I've got my half cup cream, half cup of milk, 6 ounces or 6 grams of gelatin. I need 10 grams of sugar. What's that, 10 grams of sugar. If you don't have honey, just add another gram, so 11 grams. Okay, I got 11 grams of sugar. I need vanilla. What is that, a half? Is it a half? Yeah. Vanilla. Oh, there. Okay, so I've got, let's see, got everything in there. And what I'm going to do is, while I'm just kind of waiting, here's my gelatin. Here's my milk, because it says bloom the gelatin in milk. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, there's my milk right here. And I'm going to pour my gelatin right on my milk. Give that a stir if you so desire. And I'm going to just let that sit. So I've got my I've got my panna cotta. So the last thing I need to kind of get everything together for is my focaccia bread. So I've gotten everything together. The only thing I'm going to have to do before I do anything is I need to grind up some more black pepper but I'll do that in a few minutes. I'm going to gather up all the stuff I need for my and are for my focaccia bread, and then hopefully my potato will be ready, and I can start saying all the stuff. For the focaccia. So we need I'm going to get 150 grams of flour. Need to zero out my scale. Wow, 150 grams right there. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I need to get this kind of first fermentation, kind of it's called a sponge. We need to get that kind of going first. And then I'll let that sit while I work on everything else. So I'm going to get, this is 150 grams of flour right here. So I'm going to put 150 grams right in. And then I'm going to put in, let's see, 6 grams of yeast. So I'm going to get the yeast. Here's 6 grams.
Hey chef, if we don't have a stand mixer, would a hand mixer help for the bread?
Hand or just do it by hand, one of the two. Okay, so yes, stand mixer or just doing it by hand as well. All right, so I've got flour here. I'm gonna put my 6 grams of yeast in right in here. Okay, and then I'm gonna put the water. How much water does it call for? 150 grams. So I'm gonna get, and it needs to be warm or warm-ish because you don't want it like cold. So I'm gonna get. And so what I'm making is I'm making what I call a sponge. And that's going to be that 150 grams of flour and 6 grams of yeast and the water. 150.
Chef, are we blooming the yeast or are we just putting it in dry?
I'm gonna put it in just dry and kind of mix it up in and just let it kind of let it kind of bloom on its own. So I've got my 150 grams of warm water, 6 grams of yeast, and that 150 grams of flour. I'm gonna mix it, or I'm gonna just kind of, and it should kind of look like a shaggy mass. You don't want to over mix it. I used my fingers, okay? That's all you want to do. This is the sponge, okay? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this, I'm gonna just put this, you can see it's not completely incorporated, and it's just kind of chunky. I'm gonna just put this somewhere where it's warm, not hot, but it's kind of warm, so where it can, the yeast will start to kind of form and kind of bubble up and all of that, and that's kind of what we're looking for. That's kind of the sponge. Then once we get that done, then I will put in that the 250 grams of extra flour, and then the salt, and then the oil. And I'm going to measure that out, and then I'm going to start kind of working on my my note with my potato. Prepped. Actually, I lied. I need to get I need to grind up some black pepper. 250 grams. So I'm going to get the 250 grams. Grams of flour right here. I need the blended oil with 2 ounces of oil, olive oil. Make sure you change the scale. Two ounces. Oh. Okay, some salt and pepper. And then I'm lay out the salt for the red. Is that 2 grams? Okay, So I've got everything staged up. There is, now I can just bang out my prep, chop up my parsley, do all that goodness, and it is easy and done. Everything situated. So now, don't need my scale any longer. I'm gonna go ahead, actually, I'm gonna chop up my parsley and pick my sage and chop my garlic. And so where I really don't need a knife after this, because I've got everything kind of staged up. So I'm gonna chop up my garlic for, this is, my garlic is for my brown butter, brown sage butter. And I need to chop up my parsley. So basically, I'm staging myself. So I don't have to sit here and do much prep. Get all my prep done. Everything is done. Now for the garlic, I want it finely chopped. And this one is a big piece of garlic. One piece, it was a pretty good size piece of garlic, so I didn't want to use too much. This is in butter, right? No one wants big chunks of garlic in the butter. Okay, so nicely finely chopped, and I pasted it kind of, so where there is no chance of being too big. So I'm going to get my cutting board, I'm going to clean it off, get out my knife. I need to chop up some parsley and get my sage together, and then other than that, that's it. Potato should be done. Check my potato. Yes, my potato is done. Nice and soft. I'm going to just let it sit for a second until I'm done chopping this parsley. And then need to pick that sage. Parsley is for garnish. You've got to make sure that the parsley is finely chopped. No one wants big chunks of parsley because the big chunks stick in your teeth. The smaller chunks do not. Okay, I'm just, again, staging myself up because I had to wait for my potato to cook, and I have to wait for my gelatin to bloom in my milk. And also I needed to wait for my sponge that I'm making for the focaccia bread. The last thing I'm going to do is I need to pick the sage and pop the sage. And then that is it. Huh? See what the sage. Sage is just chopped up. Cut it up. And that concludes all my prep. And everything else is a cakewalk. I'm going to get the sage off the stems. I don't want any stems on my sage, so make sure you take any of that off. Cutting board is too back. Cutting board real quick. Chop up my sage. All right, this is it. Now I'm going to bang out all this stuff. And I don't need a knife really. I might need to trim up the chicken, but I'm going to deal with that in a little bit. But all my other prep is done. Get rid of, at least for now, I don't need my cutting board because I've got everything trimmed up, everything done. Wipe down my station because I don't want any parsley or sage in anything that shouldn't be in. Well, let's do this potato gnocchi. Okay, so for the potato gnocchi, let's get this recipe out for you. Good morning, how are you? Doing very well. All right, so potato gnocchi, you got potato right here. So I'm going to take this potato. Hey, if you don't have a ricer, that's fine. Or you can use one of these sieves right here. You're going to take this warm potato. You can see it's warm, it's steaming, right? I'm going to take the skin off. All I want is the potato. Get a ladle. And I'm going to push it through. You can see it looks like a chia pet, right? It comes out looking awesome. Nice and smooth. The way we want it. You kind of see, kind of stuck to the backside. I'm going to get my rubber spatula, scrape it down. Very important that you scrape it down because you need all this potato. Now, very important. If you do this, you need to clean this pretty much immediately because if not, it will stick to your stick and it'll be very hard because that stick starts to take forever to dry out. So I'm going to just rinse this off. Oh. And so I've got, so it calls for an egg, flour and salt and pepper. So I've got my flour right here, my egg right here. I'm going to put a little bit of flour in it. This is, you're going to have to use your hands. All right, so I'm going to put flour in there. I'm going to use 1 egg yolk. The recipe calls for a whole egg, but I'm going to only use a yolk. You see right there, I'm going to start. Now, the one thing I want you to make sure is that you, if you use the recipe, if the recipe calls for a lot of flour, I would add a little bit, and you can always add more. You can never take it away. Okay, and we're going to create a dough. Now, I did not throw in, I think I weighed out this amount of flour. I might need to add more flour, but it's so hard to take away the flour. So I would much rather have too much or not enough flour at first, and then I can add as much as I need to. Now I'm making a dough. So everybody kind of see what I'm making right here? I'm going to take it and I'm going to take it out, and I'm going to start kneading it by hand. And as you knead it, it's kind of wet. It gets a little wet. I'm going to stick it into in there, or I can dust flour. I would much rather add flour to it instead of have a bunch of flour on my table. All right, so here's kind of what it looks like. So what to tell if it's, and I haven't put any salt in there, and I need to, forgot to. So I'm gonna sprinkle some salt and work that salt in, because I forgot to put it in. My suggestion would be put it in before you make a dough ball, so you don't have to go and do it later. Okay, so here it is. I'm gonna kind of roll it out, put it, and I'm gonna push my thumb, and if it cracks any around the edges, I might need a little more flour. Should be kind of firm. It should be almost like pasta dough in a way. It should kind of firm up a little bit. I'm going to roll it into like a snake shape. Okay, so here's my dough. To tell if it's ready or to check it, I'm going to just go ahead. I've got a pot of water right here. I'm going to heat up, and I'm going to let it come up to a boil. Right? But I'm going to let this just sit for a minute because I need to wait until my water comes up to a boil. So I'm going to get rid of this bowl. Actually, I'll try to clean it or soak it because it's kind of sitting with a lot of flour and potato. So my potato is almost done. I need to test it, right? I need to make sure it's correct before I say it's done. But I need to wait until my pot of water comes up to the simmer. And then I did not turn it on now, so it'll take a little bit of time. Trying to get all the stuff off my hand. All right, so here's my dough. I'm gonna just kind of, I'm gonna put a towel over it so it just doesn't dry out and wait until my pot is ready. I'll be right back, guys. Give me 1 second. All right, so I've got filling up my sink with water. It's filled up. Okay, so I'm waiting on my water to come up to a simmer before I can test my gnocchi. Just gonna clean up my face. And I'm gonna work on focaccia bread, or I'm gonna look at that real quick and see where I'm at on my sponge. All right, You can start to see it starting to rise up a little bit. So that's kind of, I'm a happy camper with that. So I'm going to go back to that recipe. So, excuse me. So the potato gnocchi is pretty much done. I just need to test it and we'll see what it's like and we'll go from there. So we really don't need that any longer. I'm gonna get the focaccia bread. So I've already did that 150 grams of flour. I've done the 150 grams of water. I've done the 6 ounces of flour or of yeast. So all I need now is the 250 grams of bread flour and my oil and my salt. I'm going to put on my apron again. So I've got this happening right here. I'm gonna, don't get the flours confused because you have multiple flours, right? So I've got my, here's the sponge right here. I'm gonna go ahead, just put in that 200, what was that, 250 grams right there. And then I'm going to start mixing it before I put in my, I don't want to put in my salt until I get it kind of started mixing. So I got my dough hook. And if you don't have a dough, or if you don't have a mixer like this, you can do it by hand. Kind of mix in your flour. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this started. Put in my oil. Then I put in my salt. Start letting that form. And start to see, I don't know if you can see the camera, starting to kind of form up. It's gonna look kind of dry, but it's all right. It will, you'll be fine, I promise. As long as you weighed out everything perfectly, you're good to go. And plus, this is gonna sit for a day. I'm gonna stop it, get it off from the sides. Warm. My water is looking carbonated right now on the gnocchi water, so I'm going to just wait on that for a second. You know, this dough looks just maybe a touch dry. I might have. Water to it. Just a hair bit, a couple of drops. Now, those couple little drops made the dough kind of come off of the sides now, and now it's turning into a dough ball. I might have just been a little shy on the water, maybe a little, maybe put a gram or two extra flour in there. But now it's looking quite good now. Never stick your hand in the mixer when it's going, always turn it off. So I'm gonna go get a Ziploc bag because we're gonna put our dough. Ziploc bag right here. There's my dough. It's getting nice and smooth. If you don't have pan spray, you can use olive oil, whatever else. But I just kind of pan spray this Ziploc bag. You see, it's nice and smooth. Just like so. I'm going to take this, put it in a Ziploc bag. I'm going to squish out a lot of the air. Here we go. I'm going to label it with my name on it. Here, I have to make sure I put the date because if the health department showed up and something wasn't dated, they will throw it in the garbage. So here's my dough. I can get rid of my mixer now. My water is at a boil. So I will test my gnocchi. So here's my dough right here. This is my focaccia. I'm going to stick it in the fridge and we will deal with that in a little bit. Right, my gnocchi. Here is my gnocchi right here. show you how to get the grooves in it. And this will double in its size, like thickness. So kind of important to make sure that you don't over or get it too fat. You don't want it too fat. I don't have my bench scraper, but cut it in little like tater tot looking shapes. And I've got a wire whip. Actually, I don't. To get that groove, use this wire whip, roll that gnocchi down, and you get the grooves. Or take your gnocchi just like this, use a fork, and do it that way. I'm going to put it in the boiling water, and I'm going to check it out and see what time, how long it takes, and if it falls apart, whatever else. This is a dumpling, so we want this to kind of push up. So it's getting a little tacky because the longer it sits, the more moisture gets pulled out. So I might need to adjust it a little bit more. I'm going to have to look and see what the gnocchi looks like before I do anything. So I'm going to just take my gnocchi right here. I've got my dough made. I'm testing it right now. Usually when it floats, that's a good indication that it's getting close to being done. It's not always the case, but you know, I'm gonna just wait on that. So my focaccia, I'm gonna go put that focaccia in the fridge, and then we're gonna work on the go ahead and cook up my whole gnocchi. I think I need a little more flour, so I'm going to get this into a bowl. So just a touch more flour to my gnocchi. It's just a little wet, and when I saw the one that's in the water, it just needed. It looked like it needed a little bit more flour. So I'm going to now take this. I'm going to start rolling it out. I'm going to make sure that okay, so here's the gnocchi. It kind of puffed up a little bit. It's like a dumpling. Check the inside. So what I do is I cut it, and it's still a little raw in the inside. So it needs a little bit longer. So I would say maybe total of 10 minutes of cooking on it. You get my gnocchi, roll it out again to a snake. And sometimes, especially if you work it, that starch in the gluten needs to rest, right? So, so sometimes you just need to let it sit for a minute. And I would say salt that poaching water or your water that you're cooking your dumplings in. Should be seasoned. Okay, here are my dumplings. I'm going to just start cutting them out and forming them. Just rolling it down here. If you had a grooved board, something that was grooved, you could use that. The most important thing is you want them about the same size. So make sure that they're all about the same size. Now they might be all different, little different shapes. That's fine. That shows that it's, you know, handmade or whatever else. But the sizing, because or the thickness and the size, just because of we're batch cooking this, right? So we're cooking it all in one batch. So you want to make sure that they're all about the same thickness and it looks consistent on a plate. So I'm going to take these guys, I'm going to put them into the boiling salted water. So let that boil until they're done. Once it is done, I'll take it out. I'll let them sit and dry out, you know, on a sheet pan with maybe parchment paper or aluminum foil or something, just so it'll air dry. And then we will saute it with the and do the brown butter.
I like the way you use that whisk, Chef.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I gave it the
That's
shape.
it. Yep, yeah, it does. So I've got my gnocchi cooking right now. The ones that I cut in half, that one, my tester, it's ready. So I'm gonna just let that sit and kind of hang out just like that. And you should turn it up again. All right, next thing I need to do is my panna cotta. All right. Panna cotta. You're gonna bloom the gelatin in milk. That's what I did at the very beginning. I poured the 6 grams of gelatin in the milk, just let it sit there. You're gonna warm the heavy cream, honey, sugar, and vanilla. If you don't have honey, like I said, you can use an, because it, instead of like 6 grams, or instead of 11 grams, or instead of 10 grams of sugar, you could use 11 grams of sugar. So I got a pot. Make sure your pot is clean, okay? Really clean, because this is supposed to be a white, very, very white product. So you want to make sure it's very, there's no black specks, there's no burnt stuff in here or whatever else. So so this is the heavy cream right here. Make sure I get it all. Heavy cream, vanilla, and the sugar. And it's only a half a cup, right? So it's not much. So, just be aware of that. It's not going to take long for it to heat up, right? So, so we're going to warm the cream, honey, sugar, vanilla to 185 degrees. And what is boiling? What is the temperature of boiling? Anybody? What is water? What temperature does water boil? Anybody? What temperature does water boil? Anybody? Bueller?
110?
212 degrees. So
212, wow.
So 212 degrees. So the issue is you don't want this. So if this boils, it's too hot, right? If that cream boils, it's going to be too hot. Boiling is 212 degrees, and we want it at 189 degrees. So we need to make sure that we don't boil it. Okay? So we need to get it hot. My dumplings are dumpling right now. They're doing good. I just need to let them sit and do its thing. And I'll show you what the dumplings look like in a minute whenever they are done. This plus all my stuff. So only thing else I need is this gelatin, right, in the milk. So so once we do that, okay, you're gonna incorporate the warm cream with the milk and the gelatin and whisk until there's no gelatin remains. Okay, so I'm going to, here is the cream, the sugar, the vanilla, and if you had honey, you put the honey right in there. And then in this container is the milk and the gelatin. Okay, so I'm going to put that milk and gelatin. Make sure you scrape it out. Make sure you get all that goodness. We need all that gelatin. And to make sure that the gelatin is dissolved, you can put it at a low temp and just that are hopefully and you'll see like little I don't know if you can, looks like little floaties. Does anybody see that? It looks little kind of looks like little floaties in there. That's the gelatin. That tells me it's not completely dissolved. So I need to make sure that all of this is dissolved in there. I need to also check my dumplings. We need a few more minutes. My gelatin, I need to very carefully put it on the heat because, or I'm sorry, this milk cream mixture, I need to carefully put it on the heat because the gelatin a little bit hasn't dissolved yet. And I would suggest you not walking away from this because if it boils, then we have a problem. Then the gelatin will burn. My gnocchi is almost done. It's doubled in its size, like the girth wise, the thickness. So, you know, just make sure you manage that. Okay, here is the cream, milk, gelatin, sugar, and vanilla. It's right here. Now I'm gonna let this just sit and cool. You don't want to whip a lot of air into it. We're just trying to keep it moving around, make sure that gelatin is dissolved. All right, my dumplings are done. I'm going to take them out, lay them out on see my dumplings right here. And just let them sit out and cool off. And just let it sit in room temp. Okay, here is my gelatin mixture. Everything that is in there, the gelatin is dissolved. I'm going to just let it sit and cool for a minute before I put it in. And if you came up to school, you will have these plastic things, these portion cups. You're going to be pouring it into the portion cups. And if you didn't get any lids or if you had lids or whatever else, you just need to make sure that you cover it up some way before the night. So tonight or before you go to bed or before you let it sit, I would either put a lid on top of this or put some plastic wrap on top. You know, it's up to you. I was going to clean it. I wasn't expecting. All right, are you done over there? Yes. Oh, okay. Oh, I was going to scrub it down. All right, no worries. Thanks, man. Okay, so guys, so I'm kind of sitting idle for a minute. I've got my potato water that I cooked my gnocchi in. I'm going to get rid of that. We don't need that. Do you need a scrubby? Is that what you're looking for? Metal scrubby? Stop. Oh, stoppers? Oh, right here. Actually, right there. So I've got, this is pretty much done. Now I'm going to go ahead and I will put it in my, let me show you. Here are my ramekins right here. But before you pour it in your ramekin, make sure you stir it around because you want to make sure that the gelatin is not kind of settled to the bottom. Okay, so there are my three. I'm not going to put the lid on it just like that. I have some things for it. Another suggestion I would say is I didn't write my name on this yet, so I would just maybe write my name on it. All right, so my panna cotta is done. My focaccia is done, right?
Chef, I have a question. Is our focaccia dough supposed to be dry? Hey, Chef, I have a question.
Yes.
Is the focaccia dough supposed to be dry?
Oh, you couldn't hear me? I'm sorry, I was talking. I apologize. Yes, like the focaccia that I did, it was a little dry, so I put about another ounce or a half ounce of water in it. So do you want to show me your focaccia or I just put a little bit more so where it'll bind up just a little bit. Did you hear me?
Yes, Chef. So
Oh,
where's
yeah,
my
okay,
dough?
let me see.
I meant,
Okay, yeah, put a little more water, just a little, just wet your hands.
yes, Chef.
Just wet your hands and kind of knead that wet hands into it a couple of times, and then it should be fine. And plus, when it does sit for a little bit, the moisture will come out as well. All right, so I'm pretty much now, I've got my gnocchi set up. It's cooling right here. I want to make sure they're kind of dried because I want to get a good saute on it. So I'm going to get kind of move around. Sorry, I got the hiccups again. I got my sage, my garlic, my butter right here. I'm going to need a saute pan for this. I have my saute pan squared up for that. And then I've got my chicken piccata. I've got my butter, some oil, chopped parsley. I do need to rinse my capers. I did not rinse them yet, so I'm gonna. Guys, if you've never had papers, I love doing this, like, especially for like for like, football games, like Super Bowl or whatever else. I would take capers and fry them, and when you fry them, they kind of pop open, look like a piece of popcorn, and they get kind of crispy. Thank you, sir. They get kind of crispy and all of that. And it's like, and it's great with beer. It's got some saltiness, salty brininess to it, and then drinking the beer. Oh, it's great. You know, good fried capers. Something you should think about doing at one point in your life. All right, so I'm pretty much ready. I mean, I really, the chicken's gonna take me maybe 15 minutes at the most. The gnocchi's gonna take me about 10 minutes. So I'm kind of staged up. I'm probably gonna take a couple-minute break real quick and use the restroom, wash my hands, get my plates ready for figuring out what plates I need. Any questions so far? No? All right, I'm gonna take about a 5-minute break and use the restroom, get all my stuff together, and then we're gonna start cooking the chicken. I'll be back in 5 minutes. I'll be right back. I just wanted to. All right. Here, I'll take it. Okay. All right, all right, all right. It is chicken time. So I'm gonna start getting that chicken ready. I'm gonna first get the chicken out of the Ziploc and give it a look-see and see what needs to happen. Let's see. Actually, chicken looks right. Looks like I just need to maybe pound it out just a skosh. Let's see. Chicken here, see what we need to do with it. Actually, I'm gonna pound it out a little bit. So I'm gonna get plastic wrap. Wash my hands first with a second. And then plastic wrap. Get a meat mallet. If you do not have a meat mallet, you can easily use the back of a pan, something like that, to get the pound it out just a little bit. So when I'm pounding out chicken or pounding out anything, I use plastic wrap, and I'm gonna overlap the plastic wrap a couple of times. If you don't have bigger plastic wrap, you can use a kind of a Ziploc bag.
So we could put it in a Ziploc bag, right, Chef?
Yes, and you can just put it in a Ziploc bag, and then you can pound it out. Actually, what I usually do here, let me show you. I'm going to just use a small Ziploc bag, but I would use a gallon size if you were going to do it. Right, so here's a Ziploc bag, right? I'm going to stick a knife right through it, cut it like that, just like so. And actually, cut it just like this, so where it kind of lays open. Then you can put your chicken in there, cover it up, and you can pound it out without tearing up the meat. And that's why we're using a Ziploc bag or a paper towel or something, so where we can pound it out without destroying the meat. So I'm gonna put it in a spot where if I need to get a meat mallet, The reason why we want to pound out the chicken a little bit is so where it'll even cook. So I'm gonna, let me move my camera around so you can at least see where I'm pounding it out. I'm gonna start, this is, if you have a meat mallet, this is called a Swisser. And if you've ever heard of Swiss steak, that's what you use for Swiss steak. It's called Swissing. And then you have a flat side. I'm gonna get its attention with the Swisser. But I'm gonna pound it on one side and then flip it over. I don't want to pound it and destroy the meat. I'm just trying to make it so where it evenly cooks. Now I'm changing it from the Swiss side to the flat side. Bada bing, bada boom, she's done. Okay. Now.
It's
I'm gonna-
nice and thin now. I was
Yeah,
looking at it.
and I'm gonna just trim up any of the excess side, anything. Now, if it rips or anything like that, you just got to be very careful when you're cooking. Careful. So now another thing that's very important is that you don't cook the chicken. You don't dredge the chicken in the flour until you don't dredge the chicken until you really need it, because if you dredge the chicken too early, what happens is it looks breaded, and we're trying not to have it breaded. We're trying to have it look golden brown and all of that, not breaded. All right, so I need to be pretty much ready whenever I cook my chicken. So I need to get some plates. Chicken. I got my plates right here. I'm going to stick in a pilot oven to just stay warm. I really don't need the ovens on anymore because everything is all sauteed. So I just turned off my oven. Saute pan for the chicken. I need my saute pan for my gnocchi. I need to get a plate for my chicken. Thank you so much for doing that. All right, so I'm gonna get my salt and pepper. And I'm gonna season my chicken up with salt and pepper. You can season the flour, but the most important thing is the meat, right? So make sure you season the meat up. I'm gonna get my saute pan. I'm gonna turn on the heat and get that warming. I've salt and peppered my chicken, and all I'm waiting on is to cook it. I'm gonna wash my hands. Grab my water. And then I will start cooking my chicken and gnocchi. Be right back. All right, so let's do this thing. We'll be done in probably by 8:30. So I've got my chicken. I'm gonna get a little bit of butter. So I've got my mise en place here. I've got butter, lemon, capers, parsley, and oil. So in a food. I'm gonna get my butter in a saute pan and some oil. Get it nice and hot. I'm gonna get my chicken. Take it and I'm gonna dredge it in the flour. When I dredge it in my flour, I'm gonna stank it off. Make sure it is nice thin. Nice thin layer of flour right here. My pan is hot. I'm gonna go ahead, start sauteing. My chicken, and I'll show you what that looks like in a second. And get rid of that flour. I don't need that flour any longer. I'm gonna, while my chicken's sitting there, I'm gonna quickly go wash my hands. I got some on my hands, chicken on my hands. Don't want it to burn, so I need to manage that. Turn down the heat just a skosh. Nice brown chicken. Leave that off to the side. If you need to finish the chicken in the oven, if you didn't pound it up enough or whatever else, you can always finish it in the oven. If that is how it should be. Let me log into my phone real quick so I can show you what it looks like. Okay, so you can see my chicken in the saute pan right there. I cut my chicken breast in half, so and pounded it out. So I have two pieces. So I'm going to get my chicken. Now it's been cooking in oil, right? I want to make sure that when I take my chicken out, I'm going to let it sit on a piece of paper towel or something, just to kind of dry out. Okay, so I've got my chicken done. All I need to do, I'm going to take out that fat. Dump out that fat. I'm going to check my pan. I'm going to look at my pan. I'm going to assess it and see what it looks like. I think it looks fine. What's the next step? Just put my butter, right? Remove from the heat, add lemon juice. So I'm going to add some lemon juice right now. Okay, so I just squeeze some lemon juice in there. Put in chicken stock if you want. I'm gonna put in my papers. I'm gonna put in butter. Get my spoon. This is a very heart healthy day, just joking, because we have a bunch of butter, right? This is a butter kind of sauce right here. And then we've got other butter sauce, right? I put in actually about a half ounce of kind of cream in this, so it will help thicken. I'm going to mix it down a little bit. My papers are going to start to kind of pop. Now I need to make sure that I don't I don't want to burn this. This is butter. You have a little chicken stock in there. It's butter, chicken stock. Not much else in there. Easy on the salt because it's very, because these the papers are very salty. I'm going to also get in another saute pan. I'm going to turn it on. And I don't know if you can hear. Do you hear that kind of popping? That tells me my papers are kind of cooking correctly. So this is kind of what I want right here. So I'm going to just kind of keep that off to the side. I don't know if you can see what it looks like. It's kind of foamy right there. I'm going to keep that off to the side. That's for my chicken. Chicken is staying warm. And then I need my gnocchi. So I've got saute pan. This needs butter, right? So I'm going to get full butter, put it in a saute pan and start melting it. At this point, I'm going to put in my gnocchi in with the butter. Because I want to kind of brown this a little bit. I'm not putting in my garlic because I don't want to burn my garlic just quite yet. So let me log in to my phone. Going up there. This is just whole butter. It's on high. Once it's starting to kind of brown for me, then I'm going to put in put in my garlic in just a second. But I want to get that kind of a Maillard reaction or browning when it comes to my stuffing. Because it should be kind of crispy on the outside and soft and malleable on the inside. So I've got that. You see how it's kind of golden brown on that right there? That's what I'm wanting. I'm gonna let that sit. I'm gonna throw in my garlic. Put in my sage. Take it out because I don't want to burn my garlic. There it is right there. I've got roasted garlic, but not burnt. See this right here? I've got my gnocchi in a bowl. Got my gnocchi sitting right here. You know what? I think we have some Parmesan cheese. I could quickly grate some Parmesan. Give it a little look. Good look to it. There you go, Parmesan cheese right there. And then I need to plate up my chicken. Heat up that sauce real quick. Don't forget your parsley. And don't forget to taste it. Salt. And then for sure some more lemon. Go, there's my sauce right there. Okay. Chicken piccata. Oh, yeah. Thank you. And the potato gnocchi with brown butter sage with Parmesan cheese. Questions, problems, concerns? We still don't have yogurt. I've got the mozzarella and the yogurt. All right, all right, all right. So that's it, man. So I'm gonna start cleaning up my stuff and